What's going on, everyone? Designedcoma here. Welcome back. And the gameplay you're watching is me playing Black Ops 3. So, what's up for today's video? Well, I want to talk about Gears of War in a Black Ops 3 video. I know it sounds kind of weird to talk about Gears of War with a Black Ops 3 video playing, but you know, unfortunately, I don't have any Gears of War footage. It would have made more sense to do it that way, but nonetheless, it's still pretty good. I just recently got my latest Game Informer digital version of the magazine, and you know, besides the fact that GameStop pushes that thing on everybody, I do enjoy reading Game Informer. You know, it's a decent magazine. I like reading it. You know, and you know, it's pretty cool. And the cover story this month is Gears of War 4. Now, for those of you who may not have played Gears of War, which I find to almost be impossible unless you are just getting into gaming, but Gears of War was one of my absolute favorite games to play on the 360. Me and my friends stayed up so many nights playing that game, all the way up to Gears of War 3. We did Gears of War Judgment, but you know, it wasn't... we found it to be okay, but it wasn't as great as the other three, of course, because you know, all the characters were not, you know, it was just a change of characters, and the storyline was more of a backstory of some of the other characters that were in, you know, the series 1, 2, and 3. So it was okay, but you know, it just wasn't as good. So I just kind of took some of the highlights from the article that I found to be interesting, and I figured I'd come on here and share it with everyone. So I hope you guys enjoy it. First up is the fact that you know, Gears of War Judgment was created by and developed by Black Tusk Studios. Now, the same studio is creating Gears of War 4, but they are now called the Coalition, and they also worked on Gears Ultimate, the Ultimate Edition. So I hear they did pretty good on that one, and it's going to be 1 to 2 players. Okay, they haven't really said anything about multiplayer yet, or online, you know, multiplayer. That's still to be announced. Let's see what else we got here. Just a little history. Gears 1 was the fastest selling title in November of 2006 when it came out. I mean, that was really great. I mean, I absolutely love that game. I miss playing it. You know, it's one of those games I wish I still had. And I think I find myself getting it here in the future. Rod Ferguson from Gears 1 is going to be working on Gears of War 4, which is pretty cool because he was like really he was integral in creating the first one, along with, you know, Cliff Bleszinski and others to bring out that great title. He recently joined, well, not recently, but he did join Microsoft after leaving 2K. When he left Epic, he went to 2K, and then he wasn't really meshing with 2K. I mean, he worked on some titles with 2K and everything was great, but he felt like he needed to move, so he went he called a buddy of his up at Microsoft and to check in and see if there was anything available, and this guy was like, hey, you know, we're getting ready to start this up, you want to work on it? And he was like, yeah, I mean, who wouldn't? Let's see, he was really surprised. He was really nice to see that they were taking some of the story directions that they came up with before he left Epic, you know, and everything, which was really nice for him, because they're kind of going with one of his ideas of some of the new enemies. It's going to be the Swarm, in a sense, which is one of them, and we'll get into some of the other enemies too. Now, this isn't going to just pick up right after Gears 3. This is going to be 25 years later. Okay, and this is where humanity has basically come down to just a few 100,000. If anybody remembers from the third game, the emulsion weapon that was set off not only killed all the locusts, you know, but it also apparently destroyed all the fossil fuels on the planet. So now everybody's fighting over different means to be able to find some means of energy and things like that. There's a new protagonist, okay? This isn't going to pick up with Marcus Phoenix and the rest of his group. This is basically starting with his son, JD Phoenix. Okay, this is Marcus's son. He will be the main protagonist in the game. Some of the enemies are going to be juvies, which are kind of like the retchers, you know, from the article. They describe them as sort of like the retchers, you know, in a sense. A little easier to kill. But at some point, the juvies, you know, as they evolve, they turn into drones, which get to be a little bit harder to kill. So we're going to go over some of the weapons. We're going to finish up with some of the weapons because I thought these were really cool. Some of them are new. Some of them are basically, you know, the ones that we're all you know, favorites of. One of the new ones is called the drop shot. They describe this as essentially an explosive charge attached to a drill that can be lobbed across a battlefield. The drop shot allows players to choose when to ignite the drill's thrusters and send it hurtling to the ground. The drop shot fills a hole left by the digger from Gears 3, in that it allows players to more easily get at enemies hiding behind cover. And of course, we've got the fan favorite. Everybody loves the Lancer. I mean, there was one thing that I couldn't stand, is if I ever lost my Lancer and I got stuck with one of the other guns or something along those lines, because I wanted my chainsaw gun. Because that is cool. I mean, that's like the coolest weapon I've ever used in any game thus far, is the chainsaw gun, the Lancer. I mean, I just absolutely love that thing. It looks like they've, you know, kind of modified it a little bit, you know, slightly, giving it a wooden stock for added comfort. The chainsaw, of course, is going to be there. It now has a faster reloading clip, and looks like there's an added flashlight to help spot swarm in the dark. Okay, and now we have combat knives. Okay, these are basically used for close quarters. We all know about combat knives. And melee execution animations will vary depending on the player's angle and approach towards their enemy. In multiplayer, each faction has its own knife design. So there's, you know, pretty much a hint that there is going to be multiplayer, but like I said, they really just didn't have much to talk about as far as that's concerned. So it's still kind of pretty much, you know, to be announced at this point. Last but not least is a weapon called the Buzzkill. Now, this thing is the craziest looking weapon. This is a weapon that has, it looks like it shoots out the saw blades from like a skill saw. If anybody knows what a skill saw looks like, it's got these round circular blades, and this thing looks like it shoots them out. So let's get into the description of it here. The Buzzkill takes a few seconds to warm up, but once it does, it spits out a stream of circular saw blades that ricochet around the environment and shred through enemy limbs. However, players should be cautious with the Buzzkill, as these blades can bounce off the environment and fly back and damage them. Oh, yeah. So you're gonna have to be really careful with those. You don't want those saw blades coming back and like lobbing your head off or anything. So there you have it, guys. I'd love to leave a link to the article in Game Informer, but of course, unless you have the magazine, you're not going to be able to read it. Or unless you have the digital version, you won't be able to read it. Maybe you'll find something on you know, the Game Informer website. I'll have a link in the description to that. And I also have a smaller article that talks a little bit about Gears of War 4 that I will have a link in the description for that as well. So it kind of gives a little bit shorter synopsis of what I talked about. But I tell you what, from what I've read, there's a lot of cool things coming, and this has really pushed me to an Xbox One here, to get an Xbox One. Doesn't mean I'm gonna walk away from my PS4, because I absolutely love my PS4, but you know, Gears of War is just one of those games that I swear, if it's good enough, it'll cause me to go drop some money on an Xbox One. There's no kidding, no joke. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to give it a like, favorite, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.